So what was zero gravity like, Greg Olsen?
Oh, fabulous. You know, I really enjoyed it. You know, floating, and you can experience this on Earth. The Space Adventures does these so-called zero-G flights where...
Like a simulator.
Yeah, well, it's not a simulator. You go up in a plane and you you free fall for about 30 seconds and you get to experience weightlessness. And I actually did this with my daughter Krista and her son Justin. Justin Dibsey is the youngest person ever to do a zero-G flight. He was 7 years old and he did fabulous. But,
so you're up there.
Uh-huh.
And was it what you thought it was, the zero gravity
experience? It was even
experience?
better. You know, in my training, and I trained for 6 months in Moscow, and a lot of NASA astronauts trained there. And I used to ask them, you know, how is it when you go up? And they said, whatever you think it is now, it's better when you actually get there. And they were right.
Were you nervous during takeoff in particular, all that rocket fuel?
Actually, no, not for the reasons most people think. I was nervous because, you know, I had been disqualified medically once. And until that rocket took off, in the back of my mind, I was always worried. Maybe some doctor is going to find a little arrhythmia in my heartbeat and take me out. Even when we were walking out to the launch pad, as happy as I was, I kept thinking, what if one of these flight surgeons, you know, finds a little something wrong with my heartbeat and says, sorry, you can't go. So I tell you what was the best moment for me is when I felt that rocket shudder and take off, and I said, now the next 10 days belong to me. Nobody can take this away. So,
no one can take me off this shuttle.
Yeah, actually, I had the lowest heart rate of anybody in the crew.
Why is it so important for our viewers, if you could explain, to be in such top physical condition to go into space?
Sure. Well, you don't have to be an Olympic athlete, but you have to be in reasonably good condition and health. And it's for a very simple reason. You know, when you're up 230 miles above the Earth, there's not a lot that can be done for you medically, other than some first aid and a few medicines that are carried on board. You know, even if you're lucky enough to have an astronaut who's a medical doctor, which happens sometimes. So, you know, you're really limited. So if you have a heart condition or a lung problem or anything like that, you know, they try to weed you out before. So, you know, especially the Russian doctors, you know, they want to make sure that anybody that's up there is not likely to have a medical incident once they're up.
So what's the training like? Push-ups, sit-ups?
It's kind of a combination of military base and college campus. I trained in a place called Star City, which is outside of Moscow. Very idyllic setting. And typical day for me, I get up 6 o'clock. I used to run for 2 miles around the lake. Have breakfast, classes 9 to 4, physical training 4 to 6, kind of like most people work out, weights, swimming, you know, sometimes tennis, bike riding, dinner, homework, go to bed. You know, I lived in an economic dormitory. I loved it. You know,
what did your colleagues think when you were training for this? Or your family?
Well, family, you know, no one, at least visibly, said to me, hey, you sure you want to do this? I mean, even my 2 daughters, Krista and Kim, said to me, you know, Dad, that's just this kind of crazy thing we'd expect you to do, and they laughed.